Hello, how is everyone doing? I'm running a bit late, but I'm here. 10 minutes late. Had some technical difficulties in the beginning with Streamlabs, but it's all working. Should all be fine now. Hello Z, Stallion, Jesus. Who else have we got? MP, Crusher, Thomas, hello Dev, and I think that's everyone for now. The music is called, I think it's called PSX Survival Horror. It's just like a game dev asset that's royalty free, so I'm just using that. Sounds Resident Evil-y. I've got the Resident Evil safe room screen set up, create some ambience. So this is it, 3.0, streamer weekend. We've got a lot of POIs to look at, some sign tech. We've got the items with magnitude system. We've got the... what else have we got? We've got the new turret. We have loads of little bits, quality of life improvements and things like that. I'm quite forgetful, so off the top of my head I don't remember them all. But the patch notes are now readily available, so everyone can go check out all the little details that are coming in 3.0. Yeah, a long 5 minutes. Sorry, Stalia. Let's get into it then. So I don't really have a solid structure on what I was going to do today. I was thinking about maybe putting some sort of structure or script together, but I probably wouldn't be able to keep to it anyway. So we're just going to go into POIs first, probably, because that's what I've been working on since 2.0. I've been working on a lot of the rubble and filler POIs in 2.0, some of the set dressing of the wilderness, and then into 3.0 we've been doing more questables, T4s, more remnants, a bit more meatier than they have been in the past, and then we've also been playing with sign tech as well. So I don't know if I should start a game or go into the POI editor. We'll do a game, because then I can sort of show some of the settings. Let's have a look. New game. This sounds a bit loud actually. I might alter this a bit here. We all know what it sounds like. We do have some new voice lines, so maybe I'll turn it back up when we hear those. Right, so we now have presets. So with all the sandbox siege options, you can create your own presets. You can select a preset that has been made by one of the members of the Fun Pimps. So the one that's been going around the most at the minute is the Mad Mole Mayhem. Where is he? So this is like really hard. Joel likes it to be very challenging, so you can see all these sort of stats here. Most of the things you can think of in the entirety of 7 days is now some sort of slider or some sort of option. There's obviously going to be some things we haven't thought of that you might think of, but most things now you can change. Let's try and have a look at some of the options. So there's like loads of categories now, so you can alter pretty much everything, and change the game in any way that you see fit. Let's have a look. So range damage, you could make it so that you can't do any range damage. You could make it so you do the most range damage. Entities, everyone's been talking about zombie digging, so there's like block damage. There's terrain damage somewhere. Biome progression, you can turn that on and off. You can change your tech types. Literally every single thing you can think of is pretty much able to be changed now. But we'll just go with an official. Chibi's a bit silly. We want to take our POI seriously in the stream, so we'll just go with the classic. Prefab editor is my game name there. We'll call this streamer Weekend Game World. Eight 8K will probably be enough to show off some of the POIs and stuff, and then after I'll show off probably some of the outsides of the POIs. I won't go into them unless we do a little spoiler section for people who don't mind too much about having that spoiled, but I'll let people know if I'm going to go inside, so you can decide if you want to stick around and look at the insides or if you want to discover them for yourself on Monday. So while that's loading up, I'll check the chat, see what you guys are saying. Yeah, the artwork's cool. It's kind of like, I don't know, an old comic or some of those old pulpy horror film posters, movie posters and stuff. I like the art on those as well. We've got Jesus in the chat, who's also a level designer who's been working on 2.0 and 3.0 over the past almost 2 years now. We started at the same time, so a lot of our work's gone into 3.0. We'll have a look at some of his as well. I also kind of want to jump into some of the signs. More than just looking at them, I kind of want to show you the editor of the signs, just to show you how complicated your designs can be with the sign tech. Obviously, they said in the dev stream that the signs won't be available to players in like player built bases, but these signs will be available to prefab editors, mod makers and stuff like that. So when experimental comes around, you'll have the ability to make your own signs and put them in new and existing POIs. I'm not scared of dying on stream. I think we all remember Streamer Weekend 1.0, where I was just constantly dying the whole time. So we've got some caves. You guys probably saw these in 2.0. We do have a new cave. I think one cave's gone in 3.0. Let's have a look. Now there's 60 new POIs in 3.0, and off the top of my head, I don't know them all. So I'm going to be a bit biased, and we're going to look at one of mine. We'll go with the one I just finished not long ago. So we've got, I think, a selection of 4 industrial tier 4s. So this is my particular one. There might be another one nearby. I don't think there is. We'll have a look at the other ones in a second anyway. But like I said, I'll go around the outsides, and then maybe a little later on we can have a look at some of the interiors. But I'll give the option to you whether you want to experience them for yourself or you want me to ruin it. So this is my tier 4 chem tech, and this is an example of some of the sign tech here. So the way Signtech works is if you've ever played Call of Duty, I think it was like Call of Duty Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and then some of the later games, there was an emblem. There was an emblem editor. So with layered vector images, you could create pictures, designs, add text, etc. This is essentially what this system is now. So every element that you see here is either a vector image. So for example, the green is a rectangle, the black is a rectangle, the white is another rectangle, and then you've got what was that, an octagon or hexagon. They are also vector images, and then you've got a tiny blue rectangle and a tiny blue circle, and you're basically layering all these things together until they create a cohesive image. So that's what we've got here. And then with these rust sort of details, they're a noise filter, so you can layer different filters on top of each other and change their colors. So you've got one here which is more blurred on the top, and then you've got one here which is a bit darker. So they're layered on top of each other to create this halo effect, which culminates in it looking rusted, and the darker outline of this rust effect here with the lighter brown in the middle. So it's really complicated, and you can go wild with the amount of details that you can create. You can even see here these little black lines that look sort of like grime dripping down. That's a stretched and distorted noise mask as well. So essentially it starts like how the rust looks, but then you can use a setting to stretch it or to squeeze it, and someone has squeezed that noise filter into those lines and then changed the color to black. So you're essentially just layering on different techniques of creating what essentially an artist would create in an actual piece of artwork. But you're creating it with vector images and distorting and manipulating those vectors into essentially a piece of art eventually. There's another example there of the Signtech. This was made by another level designer, Hernan. He's, as you can see, he's used the same sort of effects. We've got a punch out filter as well, so you can make layers transparent. So that's what these white splodges are. It's just the same noise effect as the rust, but instead of it being a color, he's just set it to transparency, so it just cuts through all the layers to the back. And then we've got a few different fonts as well. So I know I said I was doing POIs, but the Signtech is just quite exciting, so we'll do a little bit of Signtech and then get back to the POIs. Somewhere in the industrial, he's also done some... Where are they? So this one Hernan made for one of my POIs, one of my industrial POIs as well. So now we've sort of like the Urban Decay MP mod, we've got a bit of this going on as well. A few little designs, but like I said, these are all layers upon layers upon layers of vector images to create a cohesive final product. So there's like the font with the same font behind, but the font is dilated to create the black background, and then basic shapes to create the bottle, etc. And then the same sort of noise, or just taking a circle and squishing it into a longer paint drip and stuff like that. We'll look in the actual editor a little bit later. But this is the possibilities you'll have as POI creators and mod makers to add your own signs and give your POIs a bit more personality, distinctive personality. There's an effect there, like it's sort of beveled, so it kind of looks depressed into the material. Anyway, so this is my tier 4 POI. This is called Chemtech. It's a precursor to a Bandit POI, as you can probably tell from the design of it here. It is zombies for now, but it's a relatively large tier 4 experience that you'll be able to get your hands on when you get onto experimental on Monday. There we go. Show you a bit on the outside, and then the final area up there. And then we'll do a few drive-bys. This is new. Bus station. What else have we got? Here's another one of mine. This is my slaughterhouse. This ties into the Farm 19 Sawyer family farm. This is also owned by the same family. So as you can imagine, there'll be a similar theme to what's going on in there. I mean, some of these signs are crazy. Look at that. That looks almost, I don't know if I should say almost real, but that's pretty good. Let me quickly catch up with the chat for a second. Oh, thank you, Mod, for the £5. There we go. So this is also another tier 4 experience here. This is by the lead level designer, Granddaddy's Cable Corporation there. Not too much to show on the outside, most of the experience is all on the inside there. But that's that one. Have we got anything else close by? We'll look at some more of the signs here. Here's another level designer signs here. This is going to change the world, and it has been changing the world quite a lot, I think, so far. Like getting rid of the block letters and having the ability to tell more environmental stories such as this here, with the event being cancelled probably due to the zombie apocalypse. That's a cool sign there. Let's round it off. Let's round off the industrial district with some of those POIs. So we've been there. That's Hernan's as well. Oh, there's one of mine over there. So this is like a coffee grounding distribution facility here. Another tier 4. All these industrial 60s are tier 4s, and the sort of intention behind them is to give you more choice in how you approach them. So there's a lot of areas in these POIs where you'll have multiple choice sort of routes. You won't be just going down one sort of pathway. You'll have a few different options to choose from on how to approach each sort of area. There's another bit of sign tech as well. This is a remnant. I will show you inside. Oh, have I made this questable? Oh no, I think that's just the biome multiplier. So with the remnants, we're trying to make them a bit meatier, just so there's some more content in them. But these are kind of like, they're obviously still destroyed somewhat, but there's more of a free-form exploration to them now. So it's kind of like just a fully fledged POI. But you can go wherever you want. I've got some pathways across there. I've got some event crawl here. There's not too much to this one, so I don't mind showing this one off. These guys are quite loud. There we go, quiet down. So we've got quite a few industrials going in, so this will feel quite different now when you come to play the experimental. There should be a lot more chance for variability in what we've got going on in the industrial district. What other remnants do we have? Let's have a look at some of the remnants. I threw a little reference in with this one, with my crystal spin industrial laundry business. I wonder if you can guess what the reference this POI might be of. Maybe there's a secret behind one of the washing machines there. Yes, we do have, I think we put, don't hold me to this because I'm not certain, but I think there was 2 new tiles that went in, and I think they were some sort of caps. It might have just been 1 tile though. I can't remember which district specifically. We might have got a new cap in though. If it was even a cap at all, but I remember hearing something about there being new. A new tile. Yeah, I'd have to check with someone on that. I can't say for certain. This is looking the same. Oh, this is some good sign tech here as well. We've also got an ability to change the alphas, so that's how you can see the texture beneath. You can change the blending, so it could look like this was painted on a brick wall instead of just being a sign laid on top. So there's a few extra tricks. We'll look at some of this stuff in a little bit, but there's some tricks that can get some longevity and more life out of the signs to create really different things for each use case. Outpost 7, that's not new. Have we looked at all the industrial then so far? Oh, there was one industrial 60 we haven't seen yet, which was, I think it's this one. So this is by Lasman, this one. And this is like a paper supply company or paper processing company. And as you can see, these are quite meaty tier 4s with lots of choice on how to approach, lots of open space to navigate, and for a lot of them there are different there are a few different options. So say you go into one room, to get into the next area there may be 3 different options you can take instead of being funneled into one direction. We've put some effort into nurturing that freeform blend between freeform and linear sort of pathing in some of these. And I think that does it for the industrial. Oh, that's a new one as well. That's the bong one. We saw the sign a little bit earlier. I think that's a tier 2. Have a little peep in there. We'll go a bit deeper into them maybe later on. I just don't want anyone to have us go in there and then think, oh, I wanted to see that for myself. Oh, the regional paper company. Let's have a look. Is that industrial strip? Here we go. So we'll show the outside of this one. This is by Jesus. This may also be a reference to something, but I'll leave that up to you guys to figure out. Have a quick look at the sign. And that's another cool effect there to sort of make it look metallic, because we don't have material options. So using some of the technology in the sign tech or the layers, we can sort of fake some of those things. There's Beanie again. There's another new one there. That's like a pet food place. Another sort of complex sign composition as well with some of these characters. This is fun as well that we can now create mascots, and like we've got here with the cat and the dog with Beanie, we can create mascots for the companies and give them more personality and tell funner little stories. Add some embellishments here and there. Now I've been reminded of the industrial strips. We'll see what other industrial strips we have. So this was my one. It's another sort of setup for potential bandit location one day in the future. And that's where the booze hound graffiti came in. And then there's a little hangout spot for the zombies or the bandits one day up on the top. And this is just a smaller tier 2 experience here. And then I think that now does actually do it for the industrial stuff. The brickwork. So this is like a brick kiln sort of factory. A smaller experience there, but something new to explore. I like that we're now doing a few more of these old brick buildings, because I think the industrial area was getting a bit modern with the metal sort of like prefab warehouse sort of stuff, but now we've got a nice mix of old brick buildings here, there, my one over there, and then we've still got some of the more modern metal prefab things as well. So there's a nice blend to the identity of the district. It's looking good. So this will feel hopefully refreshed when people come to play it now, because we've added quite a few remnants, strips, tier 4 60 by 60 lots. So there should be a lot of stuff just in industrial. There's quite a lot of stuff now, and then with the sign tech as well, I'm hoping it feels really fresh when people get to play it and run a new world. In terms of POIs, we also, what else did we put out? I know some army camps went in. So I did Army Camp 08. So this is my Army Camp 08 forward supply depot. There's a little bit of a trench system. There's like a command center, some tents, storage. And that's pretty much it for that one. And I think that's tier 3. Yeah. So a little flavour POI for the wilderness. I kept the sign pretty simple, but you can see again like the punch out noise sort of mask on there as well, and some of the grime and stuff. we'll pull a sign apart a bit later and show you the layers and how you can achieve some of those looks as well. And then I've got one more army camp, which was Camp Hollow Point. So this is deceivingly small. You've got like the trench system on the outside, and then you've got like a workman's construction planning area, and then a hole in the ground, which may reveal more of the POI when you come to see that. And that's another one of mine just there. Really, I should have at least got the list up of what new POIs have gone in. We saw on the dev stream the Granddaddy's Cable Company, so we saw that one again just now. There was the soccer stadium, which again, like in the dev live stream, I won't go inside because I don't want to take the experience away from someone who may want to experience it themselves for the first time. But you can see more sign tech here. But we sort of saw this, pretty much this exact view the other day on the live stream. Oh, we got a little chime. But these are really cool. I think they really add sort of a sense of time. So you can imagine in the world of 7 days what was happening when the zombie apocalypse was going on. You can sort of imagine with the emergency response agency what this place might have been used for, what was happening with these light signs. But the text really adds that deeper level of environmental storytelling, which I think is going to really add to a lot of POIs. And we've done, I'm not sure what the exact number was, but I think we've done at least 1,000 signs. So pretty much every single POI that had a sign previously now has a proper sign text sign as a replacement. And then there's obviously these internal signs as well. So for example, these would be called like the hero sign because they would be front facing. You'd see them from the street. They'd be the main large sign of the building. And then some people have gone through and done internal supplementary signs as well. Like this one's got signs everywhere. But if you think about how many POIs are in the game, each one has a sign, but then this one, for example, probably has about maybe 5 to 10 signs, larger signs that aren't just really small ones like, where was it? Like this, for example. This is just a little name tag for the area, but yeah, there'll be thousands of signs. I'm not sure the exact number of them, but we've been here already. Oh, we've got signs as well on some of the parts. So the part system, I think, is now supporting signs, but I'm not too sure on that. So if these are randomized, there might be a difference. So this is like a burrito, there could be a burger. There was a few different ones that Hernan made. So these will cycle through, I think. So we did the soccer stadium, we've done industrial, we've done the 2 army camps. Let me see if anyone's got a suggestion. Let's see what people are saying. We've got Hernan in the chat. He's the designer who made the soccer stadium. We showed some of the billboards. Yeah, we showed the I think it was either Luigi or Mama Pizza. We showed the Z side. We showed the beanie billboards. Is that a new texture in your army camp? I don't think so. I don't think we've added any new textures. It might have just been a way I've used it. Yeah, the desert camo texture is probably just the actual art assets color. The green one. It might be either I've used the there's like a corrugate green texture, there's a rusty green texture, and then the art assets obviously have their own colours to them, but I don't think there's any new texture I use now. The light signs are actually not new, they're just the like office ceiling panel lights with blocks in front of them. So that's not a new asset either. In terms of adding your own images or vector art, I'm not sure if you can add. I know that you can save your finished sign or a sign in progress as a PNG, but I don't know if you'd be able to reverse engineer that to accept a PNG. We can talk about that a little bit later when we get into the actual the hows and the how-tos of the sign tech, and we open it up a little bit. Maybe you'll get a better understanding of what it could do. What have we got? Army Camp 10 as well we can look at. Green Hill. So I believe this was by Jesus. So this is, it kind of reminds me of like Just Cause. You've got like a corkscrewing pathway there, and we'll do a little fly around. So when you were talking about the desert camo, I assume it was going to be something like this, but desert camo-y. Otherwise, if you weren't, it would have just been one of the paints we already have that I would have used in the other one. But this is cool. You've got like a load of different elements. You've got like these temporary structures. You've got tents. You've got the concrete sort of pillbox, the watchtower. There's like a load of different elements to explore. The covered sort of vehicle bay here as well. This is cool through the variety of environments you get to explore as you go through there. I believe that's a tier 3 or 4 as well. There you go, another tier 4, a tier 4 army base for you there. Now, I imagine a lot of the stuff we did would also be some remnants as well. Just trying to glance over these, see if I can catch any. We did those two. Nothing's jumping out at me here for the remnants. No, I might have to pull up the document with all the POIs because I'm totally blanking right now on what we've added. It's been a blur 3.0. Right, bear with me 1 second. Yeah, the signs are flat. So we have two options of signs. You have a canvas or like a decal. So the decal's just completely paper thin flat, and that will go against an existing block. And the rear of that decal is also see-through, so it has to generally be up against the wall, or at least you'd have to design it in a way that the signs are double facing, so you'd have two signs back to back to avoid them being see-through from one angle. Then the canvas sign is like the existing, sort of like the existing panel blocks. So it's got an edge to it, a black edge that kind of looks like a whiteboard. And that's an actual solid block. So you could make a standing sign with some legs, and then it wouldn't be see-through from behind because it's a proper actual block. But that one can be freestanding, so it doesn't necessarily have to be pressed against anything because it's got its own back. Whereas the decals obviously will be invisible if you were to view them from behind. Ah, brilliant. Thank you, Jesus. I'll have a quick look at this document. Sorry guys, bear with me 1 second. I'm logged out, so I need to quickly log into this and then we can get the full list up of the POIs added in 4.0 here. Bomb shelters, I'm not sure if they went through in 2.0, but we can check those. Industrial strips we had a look at already. There's a remnant commercial strip, some downtown fillers. We looked at the remnant industrial strips as well. And then there's some rubble wasteland fillers and some camps and 2 farms that we also haven't looked at yet. So let's bear that in mind. So let's do the farms. Sprout and Sons, I think that has come through. Farm 18 and Farm 20, I think this was Farm 20. Yeah. So this is a new spin on the farm POI. This is kind of like a nursery gardening centre style take on the farm theme. Some cool sign tech there again. Sprout and Sons. We'll just go around the outside like I have with the other ones, just to have a quick look. There you go, that's Sprout and Sons. I think that was a tier... Oh, was it tier 4? Another tier 4. It's all tier 4s. It's tier 4s all the way down. And then Farm 18 as well we've got in. It's a creepy looking one. Do a quick fly round, show you that one. And then it's mainly then fillers and rubbles, though with the fillers and rubbles we've kind of increased, I want to show you this one as well. We've kind of increased the amount of time that you'll be in some of these POIs because we want to get the most playtime that we possibly can out of even the smaller experiences. So there's more secrets, there's more areas to explore. It's not just a pile of bricks and destroyed stuff anymore. A lot of the remnants are a bit more involved than they used to be. There's some tricks and traps and puzzles to do and some small scale loot, but they're not just destroyed buildings anymore. Here we go. This is some of the best use of the sign tag in one small area. So Hernan's got really good at doing complex characters and creatures, so you'll see a lot of that on display here. So here we have this wall of UFO history, so you can see some of the more complex shapes he's managed to achieve. Like this is really good. This kind of looks like almost like a photo. And then you've got the grey alien, countryside encounter. So I won't show you the whole thing, but these are some of the really good examples of what can be achieved. Like, you have to think every single element of this is like, this is a squished oval, this is a circle, this is probably a circle, and then this is an elongated circle, and then this is another circle, and this is a squished circle. So just to make this cow, there's probably maybe 15 layers there of circles just to build up that image, and then the circle for the light, and then the text. So there's a lot that's going into these signs to create these more complex images. These are obviously a bit easier, but this is how we started with sign tech as we first got our hands on it, and then as time went on people were getting more and more skilled at creating some of these more complex images. And like we saw with one of the billboards, the Mama Pizza, I think it was Luigi's actually, one of the billboards somewhere. There we go, who's that? Luigi. This is how in depth you can take these signs. So this will all be like, obviously this is just one circle, but then you'll have some sort of warping on another shape there, and then the shadowing will be yet another shape, but you'll have increased the blur on it and turned it maybe black in colour and reduced the opacity a little bit, and then you're layering all these things together until you have a drop shadow or shading, or like we talked about earlier with the noise layers. That's probably how you'll get these effects of the melted cheese and stuff. So really, once you get a handle on the tools, once you get used to how to use the tool, how to make some of these effects, like this, for example, the scratching effect on this text, that's just from turning the alpha blend on, so this becomes slightly transparent and the texture beneath can bleed through the sign. Oh, wow. Well, it used to do that. Anyway, don't do it again. Yeah, it's all just layering. Oh, I'm done. It's all just layering different elements on top of each other until you come to like a fully realized 3D, three-dimensional image that really sells the weathering, the detail, the false 3D nature. I'm excited for you guys to start making your own signs and seeing what you guys come up with, especially for your custom POIs and stuff, because we never would have imagined we could do this sort of thing like natively in the game years ago, when we were all using the block letters to like make little characters like Tony Taco here as a mascot for your POIs businesses. It really sells like the personality of every business now. Like Smarketing, that looks really cool. I really like that. Yeah, I'm excited to see you guys get your hands on this and see what you come up with. Or creative ways to use this outside of just signage. I'm sure you'll come up with other things that you can make use of this for. You could put it on a business window, but you would need to use the decal. Let's just do some sign stuff. I'd probably need to be in the POI editor for that. Let's swap over to the POI editor. So the thing is with the decal, which is the one that you'd want for a window sign, you could put it on the window, but if you were to look at the sign from behind, it would be invisible. So say it was by the side of a door, it would be invisible from the interior. Then when you walk through the door and you turn around, you'd see the front face of the sign. So the only way around that we found really is to place two of the decal signs back to back with the same shape. And that's the only way to avoid like the invisible. Well, there's no texture on the back, so they're just see-through. Otherwise, I've done some stuff where we've made banners and stuff, so we use, say, like the fabric sheet and then placed it on a fabric sheet. So it's kind of like a flag or something of that nature. Site vendor 09. Sorry, I missed that. Let's have a look at that. That's not right. Oh yeah, this is Jesus's. Let's turn the ground off. This is the go-kart track. And there's some complex sign stuff going on here, like the menu board there. The go-kart track. So this go-kart track one is an example of this is a canvas. So as you can see, there's like a black outline to this, which means this is actually solid. You'll have to forgive me, but I will just destroy some of your POI now. Just to make this point. So this is a solid block. There's a few different options. So this one's obviously 5x1. So you'll have a few different options for the canvas sizes and the dimensions and stuff. But there is a back to that. So that's a solid 5x1 block with a back. But then, for example, this is a decal, so this is just a flat image which doesn't have a back to it. So if you were to put that on a shop window, for example, you wouldn't see it from behind. So they're the two options. We'll have a quick look at some of those now as well. So here are the two sign options. You've got at the moment just corrugate and wood, and this is the canvas variant, and then you'll have corrugate and wood, but you'll have a decal option as well. So this is multi-block, so depending on how you want your sign to look, you'll have a load of different options for the size of the sign and the dimension of the sign. So it goes as little as 0.75, 0.50. So this could be a tiny wall sign for like maybe an office plaque, or a sign for a certain department in a building, all the way up to like a mega sign. So this could be on a really large POI. And then I can't remember how the billboard would have been done. It might have been, yeah, here we go. So there's like a billboard size, so you could make your own billboards. And then if you didn't want the edge, the black edging on that, the decal is basically the same thing but without any edging to it. But the options are a little bit different. So you haven't got the 0.75, 0.5 here. You've just got 1 by 1. And then if you were to place that, that's just going to be flat against the block. But like I say, it is see-through on the other side. So what I think we should do is we should go to one of the more complex signs, and we should sort of break down how they're put together a little bit, just so you can see. Because I think in the dev stream, it was kind of hard to understand just how involved the signs were. I think a lot of people might have just seen the signs and thought, even though Joel did explain, Rick and Joel did explain, this is not a texture, this is a shader. It's not a piece of art that an artist has made. It's a shaded element. I don't know if everyone would have fully understood that. Because I think as the layman, if you were to look at that, you'd think it was just an art asset. You wouldn't necessarily understand the depth of what sign tech is and how it works. So we'll look into that a little bit now. To do that, I think the best example is going to be one of the billboards. Let's go with that crazy, complicated one. So here we are. This is essentially how you'll be using the sign tech. You use them by pressing E, and then you'll have like a catalogue of, depending on what POI you're in, because these save as their own, oh, I just hit the mic. These save as their own file type associated with the POI. So when you create a sign in a POI, that will generate the sign associated file. So those sign atlases will only save signs created in that POI, if that makes sense. I don't know if I've explained that very well. It sounded like I was a bit stumbling through that, but essentially what would happen is if I was to go create a new sign, and then I made a sign here, and then I saved it and I placed it somewhere in this POI, I would then have the authentic Luigi and the new sign that I created. These, I'm not sure where these are saved. I haven't really looked into where they are, but these are like the test signs for when SignTech was being developed. But for your use case, your signs per POI will be stored here. So if you were to go to another POI, this sign wouldn't be here because this is associated with this particular POI. But anyway, I've mumbled on about that long enough. So what we can see here is just one layer. And this is because you can group all your layers. So this is actually probably like 50 layers. But you can use a method of grouping to condense all that together. So now this is as it really is without the grouping done to it, and you can see just the level of detail that goes into creating something this complex. So you start, this will be your white background, which will be where these noise layers punch through. This is where they punch through too. So you'll see there's a mask here, a mask icon, which will be associated with that. Now I'm not sure where the red, the green. Oh, it's because I've broken it. That's why I can't see where that comes in. I've broken it. Bear with me. I don't know the order in which they were layered to fix that. Okay, so yeah, the red, white, and green, which we saw when we ungroup. We'll do it one at a time, so we'll talk through the layers. So top layer, this looks like a grime layer. So as you can see, that's also grouped, I think. Okay, this is crazy. This is a lot of layers. Okay, so the top layer is the white layer. So this is what I thought was a punch-through layer to the bottom, but it's not. This is just a noise layer. So you'll have a few different options with the noise layers. Is this still grouped? Okay, we're not grouped anymore. This is the true top layer. So this is a noise layer from what I can see, and then it's been married up with a punch out mask on the top layers. So with the noise layers, you can choose a few different options. So you'll have like a seed. So you can change. I don't know if you can see down here in this preview, you can see that the seed is changing. So the composition of the elements is moving around, and then you can change the level of detail as well. Let's just for now get rid of that so we can see what we're doing. This is crazy. Right, now we can see. So this is the seed, so this changes the composition of these little specks. The detail, this is low detail, and then this is high detail. So this is how we're sort of achieving the rust effects and stuff. Like detail 6, and then the softness, that's how you can sort of make a faded effect. That's also paired with some of the rust elements as well, so you could do this as your outer layer of a rust, and then you could copy and paste. So then your top layer, you could make that maybe, no, I don't want to do that. Make that a little bit less detailed, and then you could shrink it. This is just a quick example, but you could shrink it, change the color of it to say like a browny color, and then this to like a rust color. This is not working correctly. This would show you the hues, but there's obviously an issue with it right now. But you'd choose like a rusty color, and then you'd layer those on top, and that's how you slowly start to build up. Imagine this is not pink or whatever this is a darker brown, but that's how you sort of get an edge to the color, and you would build up different layers until you had achieved like the rust textures we were looking at earlier. You can see that here with this punch out here. This is white, And then there's another layer which is like a faded black version, which makes it look dirty around the edges, but you can also do that to create rust. And then like with the pizza, this is how we got the drop shadow effect. So there's the shadow there, that'll be the pizza base. This is the melted cheese, and this is another noise layer. So everything can be moved and layered. But that's how complex the sign system really is. This probably wasn't a good example to show that off, because so much of it is grouped and layered in a way that if you were to ungroup something, it becomes that mess that I just showed you, where it's hard to delineate what's actually going on. Let's do this one. Probably have to duplicate that though. So this one's a bit more straightforward and it's easier to see. Like for example, this is the face of this bean character, and this is a group. So you'd press like Control Shift and G to group and ungroup. I think it's just Control G to group them. But then this is his sort of eye bag. So we can increase the size of that, and then we'll analyze what the eye bag is. So the eye bag is a three-sided shape. The smoothness has been changed to 71%. So if you were to change the smoothness, you can make it really round, or you can make it sharp and angular. And then there's probably, yeah, there's a perspective warp. So you can also add things like pinch bulge, kaleidoscope, arc, stretch, twirl, skew. There's a load of different settings to manipulate the shapes into certain configurations. So if we were to remove that, that sort of shows you what the shape is again. And then if we remove the perspective warp, now you're coming back to the three-sided shape again. And then if you turn the smoothness down, you're back to a triangle, which is what we started with, the three-sided shape there. There is still a bit of a skew on it, I'm not sure if that's just the rotation. Oh, no, we're back to a triangle. So this little eye bag, that's how it began, as a triangle. And through two of the effects that you can add to the shape, you can turn it into something like that. And that'll be the same for most of these really angular elements that need a sort of arch to them. The bean as well. That probably started off as a circle. And then you can also add these effects to groups. So this is actually a group of probably 2 or 3 circles. Let's have a look. Oh, it's actually a square with 2 circles, top and bottom, to make the bean shape, and then that was grouped, and then those effects were added to create the arched sort of bean effect. So I won't lie, it can be overwhelming to get started with this sign tech. There's a lot to learn, and we sort of had the advantage of learning things as they came, whereas you guys may have to learn a lot all at once. So it will be a little bit overwhelming, but hopefully it's exciting with the idea of what you can do with this stuff and the possibilities for your own like POI creation, your own storytelling, your own branding for your own prefabs, and getting that out into the community in the modding space as well. I know a lot of you modding types do make your own custom artwork anyway, with actual models and things like that. But I don't know. Maybe this is a nice onboard feature that you can also take advantage of. Let's take a quick look at what you guys have been saying. I'm not sure if there's documentation for it, but I feel like there was something. There might be shortcut help somewhere. So yeah, so there's Sign Editor, like a Bible of shortcuts here. So I was using left control G to group and left control shift G to ungroup. And then there's a load of other things you can do. It'll tell you how to zoom, how to rotate, how to delete, scroll through layers, how to squeeze stuff and unsqueeze it, and save your sign as well. But it really is just like if you had played Call of Duty games with the emblem editor, this is exactly what it used to be like. You would just make things with shapes. There's some of the stuff there. There's softener, so you can dilate it. You could turn it a bit transparent. Change the color. Then you've got position, rotation, and scale. Then you've got things like, it's not going to be easy to see that, but you can make grids. Let's make it not see-through anymore. So there's like grids. You can stretch and then change all the elements of a stretch as well. The distance, widths, exponents. So there is a lot that you can do. You can make it kaleidoscopic. What else can you do? Skew. But yeah, that's the overview of SignTech. I've talked about the noise layers with different seeds. You can add all the different effects, like the skewing, the grid. I think there's bars, there's kaleidoscope, stretch. Yeah, and then all the shortcuts and stuff are in the help menu anyway. Hide layers. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, there is no hide layer. I think we have asked for that though. I think pretty much anything that you have in Photoshop has at one point been requested in terms of layers and the effects. Yeah, there's no real way to do that. I guess you could turn the hex value all the way down, maybe. So then it's invisible, and then you just bring it all the way back up again. So I guess there's a way around that, but it would be nice to have like maybe a little eyeball symbol that you can turn on and off. We did get relayering though, so you can change the position of layers. This used to work that you'd have to copy and then come over here and then paste. So now we can just freely drag and drop these things between the layers as we choose. Yeah, it's going to take some time to get used to it. There is a lot going on with it. But like I said, once you start getting stuck into it, once you learn some of the techniques and stuff, it's like learning to ride a bike. You just start running away with it. This is one of the things I wanted to show as well. We'll turn the hex value all the way up so you can see it. This is like the dripping grime sort of layer, and that's like achieved through, let's zoom in a little bit. I believe this is going to be a noise layer. It's hard to get it back to normal. We're almost there. There we go. So this was a noise layer like we've seen previously, but someone's just contracted it, stretched it, brought the size up, and then brought the hex value down slightly, and then it just kind of looks like dripping grime, like it's been outside, been weathered, and stuff like that. Once you know how to do that, it's not like it's going to be too much to remember. Little by little, you're going to know that's how I do dripping grime. This is how I do a little bit of dirt, and then you just layer those techniques on and on until you end up with something like this. I think more difficult will be getting your head around how to manipulate the shape specifically. I haven't done too much of this like really complex layer upon layer to create 3D almost photorealistic images personally, but it's a lot of layering and a lot of grouping, and then a lot of masking and stuff. This basically shows that some sort of mask has been used. So this is color and mask. Are they all color and mask? So that's the modes change. And then that starts to create the shadow. Yeah, so it's just a lot of layering and a lot of grouping to get something this crazy. But once you have your hands on experimental, you can come into any of these in the prefab editor. You can open it like I have here and try and dissect it. We did a lot of that ourselves when we were working on the signs for 3.0. We were going to each other's signs, seeing what technique someone had come up with, because people were kind of just inventing techniques as they went along, and then those techniques became old faithful basically, especially stuff like the dripping grime and the like these dirt patches and stuff. Once someone had figured out that could be done or how to do that, you can just go in and you can take it. So if I wanted this for my POI, I could just copy that, or I could copy the whole sign and paste that into my POI. So even though this is assigned specifically to this POI, you can still go in to the sign atlas, copy the completed sign, go back to your POI, Well, I muted my mic, but I basically said nothing I show you to do with sign tech is going to probably prepare you for the amount of possibilities and combinations and techniques that you could probably come up with just getting your hands on it yourself. So hopefully when Experimental comes out, you guys will start to explore the sign tech stuff and think about how to implement it into your own prefabs and your own mods and stuff. It'd be interesting to see how creative other people get with it once it's out of our hands and into other people's hands. We've pushed it pretty far with the techniques that we've discovered along the way with it, but I imagine once it's out in the wild, we'll see some stuff we would never have thought of, and some uses that we might not have imagined signs being used for as well. I'm kind of expecting someone to come out of left field and use signs in a way I never would have thought they could be used for or would have been used for. So far, we're using them relatively strictly for what they were designed for the business signs and stuff, though some people have found creative ways around using sign tech for other means too. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the player base and the modders particularly use this technology. I say technology like it's a crazy thing, but this is essentially just like the Call of Duty emblem editor that we had for Black Ops. I think it was 1, 2, maybe 3, and one of the Modern Warfares. But we brought it back. Fonts, yeah, it would be nice to get some more fonts. I think we've got a selection, but it's not a vast selection. So we've got we tried to hit as many wide themes as we could with the fonts, I think. So for example, you've got like basic font, you've got dancing script, so you could do a fancy restaurant, or you could do something more upscale maybe. You've got Montserrat, so that could be like more corporate text. Permanent marker, so you could do maybe more fun or environmental sort of text with that. Cedric Avenue, this is I think mainly the graffiti font, so now we can make graffiti and stuff with the sign tech. The stencil font we mainly use for like military or army POI, so that can go quite wide across those sort of things. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fonts so far. It would be nice to have more fonts, but I think what we have right now is like a really good spread of fonts. If it covers a lot of themes, it doesn't leave much to be desired. And then with the ability to manipulate these things as well, you can kind of make a font out of a font anyway. What's a good example of how we do that? So this, for example, say you like this more angular font, but you don't like how it's a stencil. You could just dilate it until it's not a stencil anymore, but you still have that distinctive type face to it. I mean, you can kind of see like this a little bit, but once you've made a sign with it and it's that small, the player's really not going to see that or focus on that too much. But that's kind of like having a new font, so that's like 7 fonts now. You see? So you can make a really skinny version. You can change the spacing. You can change the direction of font as well. So if you were doing one of those like long signs that hangs off the side of a building, you're also able to do that with the font without having to do each individual letter as well. So there's loads of different things you can do with fonts. It would be nice to have more, but with the ability to manipulate every aspect of a shape in this system, you can kind of create fonts. Like that doesn't even look like Liberation Sands anymore. Let's get another Liberation Sands to see what it looks like. Yeah, so that was Liberation Sands, and then that's what I could change it to look like with some of the sliders here with the spacing and the dilate and stuff. No, I'm pretty happy with what we've got here. I can't complain about 5 fonts. We did start SignTech off with 1 font, which was the default font we had. I think that was Liberation Sands, or it might have even been another one, but we had 1. And then just getting an extra couple of fonts, I think we were quite happy with that. Especially because we had thought about what if we were limited to how many fonts we could have, how wide could we go with the fonts that we got? So like a military font, a graffiti font, sort of like permanent marker. I guess you could do like whiteboards. You could do funner sort of businesses than a corporate sort of business, a fancy business, and then just generic font. And then it's all about layering the font. So like you can see with the Luigi's, even just having a few different fonts. So you've got like the basic typeface, then you've got a fancy typeface, and then that might be the same as that might be Montserrat though. But layering the fonts, like, it really creates an interesting thing to look at, rather than what we used to have. We still have them as well, so you can still use them if you want a larger presentation like we have on the sports stadium. That still has the larger letters, but this is a crazy upgrade. So our sign, this authentic pizza sign, would have just been these letters, and maybe someone could have made something out of some blocks. They could have made a circle maybe with some more circles on it that are painted red and yellow. But this is the culmination of SignTech. Is yeah, we did sort of think about that because we were coming up to an issue with, that's something I can show you as well. Me and Jesus were working on, where is he? Higashi. So we remastered the Higashi signage and stuff. And obviously Higashi is supposed to be Japanese, so this is all made out of rectangles essentially. Which would have been nice if we just had Japanese characters and we could have just placed a Japanese character there. But at the end of the day, if we can achieve this with shapes, it's not the end of the world if we don't have Japanese. And this, I think, has turned out quite well. It looks legible. It's not like we lost out having to. Here's some better Japanese. So this is all shapes as well. This is like manipulated rectangles, circles to make Japanese characters. Like, it would have been a lot faster if we had the Japanese characters for SignTech, but that's the beauty of SignTech. You can find a way around it anyway. You just have to look up the kanji or katakana or whatever it was and copy it with shapes. It takes a little bit longer, but the results are still just as good. And then we've got English as well, which is even easier. These designs I made, I think I did have Japanese on them, but there is there is like a limit, so you can't exceed a certain limit. And there was Japanese characters, but they took so many shapes to create those characters that I had to get rid of the Japanese text on these. But they're looking cool. Let's have a look. Chat for a second. Have the triggers been fixed? I'm not too sure what that's pertaining to. But I guess if it's an issue and it's not in the patch notes, it's something that might be worth bringing up with someone on the forums or putting a bug report in if it's not known about. But me personally, I don't know. I'm not aware of that issue myself, and if it persists, put a report in, and someone will probably look into it for you. Any new paint textures, any removed updated blocks, or any new decor? Let me think. Textures I think have been untouched, so there's no changes to textures. In terms of blocks, we do have... What's this? So we have a wall clock, which obviously is not new, but it does work. So now, to support sandbox settings, maybe you've got HUD turned off or something like that. This will be a way for you to tell the day and the time. So the calendars will tell you the day, the clocks will tell you the time. This should tick. I don't know if it's because I've got simulation off or time's stopped or something. Here we go. So the hands on this clock should move around as well. It should move any second now. There you go. So that doesn't technically count as a new block, but that is a new feature of that block. I think in the dev stream they did show off that the TVs can now sort of work as a light. So in your prefabs you'll be able to turn these on and off like they are a light source. I think they do cast light, and you've got all the typical settings that you would have for any other light. And there's I think 2 options for those. So you've got no signal and you've got emergency broadcast, and this has a little sound effect to it as well, and that's a light too. You can turn it off and on. On the same note as that, I'm pretty sure the computers also have had the same sort of treatment. So computers are... oh, we'll do this on the floor. So computers are now also a light. And you've got a few different options as well for those. We also have the... Where's that? There it is. I don't know why it didn't come up for combined station, but here we go. The combined station, so that's part of the items with magnitude stuff. So you've got your two inputs and your results. You can add two items together, and that will incrementally increase their stats, and also can repair them as well. So that's technically that's a new block there as well. I'm trying to think if we have anything else. We have a few new mods. We have a new turret. Yeah, the M60 turret. So that turret I think now takes 7.62 ammo. So that's new there. New helpers, I think there might be one. This is not very exciting, but I don't know if this one went in. We have a new helper for rubbish. So the rubbish decal, you can place this and then it will select from a predetermined selection of the rubbish, and it will be different every time. So we have that. Off the top of my head, I can't really remember any other ones. I'm trying to think, because we normally get excited when we get new props, but I'm trying to think if any of that. If any of that stuff that I'm seeing there is new. These, I'm not sure if you saw these yet. New trash bags. New trash bag variants. Nothing else is really jumping out at me here. Oh, I know something. Something. Ah, where is it? Yeah, lockers. So we've made it so lockers are tintable now. So this may not seem like a very exciting change for some of you guys, but having like tintable lockers for me was quite a cool idea, because now you could say if you made a fire station, you've got sort of red fire station themed lockers. For schools, you could have, if it was like a kindergarten or something, you could have multicolored. If it was a police station, you could just have blue. And then we've got, I think, grey, white. There might be pink. No, grey and white is the only other ones. And then we've got the classic green one. And when we had those done, I think they were also retextured as well. So they've updated the actual texture to those. They look a bit more modern. Look a bit new and fresher. Yeah, I would like some more blood and guts, but for now, we've got a nice amount of stuff that we can use. Yeah, I requested the yellow and the white lockers mainly for medical or like biohazard stuff, but what's good is you can mix and match them. So this could be a biohazard locker, it could be in a row in a school. There's a load of different things you could use it for, and that's what we sort of try and aim for, is that they get the widest range of an application as they can. Yeah, I mean, new anything I enjoy, but I am very grateful with the new stuff we've got so far. With I think the TVs, the signs, like all these sort of things really help to build an atmosphere in the environment, especially because these are lights as well. So the glow of a TV in a dark room and the humming of the emergency broadcast signs and stuff, and all these things are going to really help build an atmosphere and make the world feel a lot deeper. In terms of blocks, I think that's pretty much it. Just do a very quick scan. That might jog my memory for something. No, I mean, I think that's pretty much it for blocks. A lot of the new stuff we're asking for really is just to have the tinting shaders on stuff, so we can get more like thematic cohesion with some stuff, like with the lockers. Like they fit the theme a bit better having the color tinting enabled on them. We've got some little bits. We've been having some of the existing props cut out, so these will have been on the hardware shelf, like the hardware shelves, lootable shelves, and then we just ask, can we have like these as clutter? So we're slowly getting some more clutter items, so you can decorate your environment a bit more. Bit more finely with some smaller details. Kind of like what we have here. Oh, I forgot to mention that the laptops I think also have the light. They've got the light enabled on them as well. But these laptops I think were also taken from the electronic store shelves too. So a lot of these are cut out from other places, but it's free real estate to have some more props using the same textures on another block. With parts, I think we've started parting more stuff up. Let's have a look. The yacht's apart now. Vehicle with trailer. I think these came in previously, these tunnel pieces. The food kiosks have all been updated. Should we have a look at some of those? Pizza, slicer wagon. So some of these parts they may not necessarily be new, but they'll have been updated, and I'm sure someone's gone through and detailed them a little bit more, and taken the opportunity to fix them up. So there's a few things like that. I think the tunnel pieces came in 2.0, so there'll be more. There'll be more. What would you call it? Like modular pieces to use. Truck parts. Apparently, we have some of those. Oh, are they right here? No. What are they called? Part trailer? No, it's not those. Semi? Or semi? Oh, they might not be in just yet. Basically, anything that's like just laying around in big files that should be parts, we're getting around to putting them into parts. So you'll be able to start using those instead of having to copy and paste them out. Part placement could be improved. Yeah. I'm not sure if something like that's been done. Let's have a look. Oh yeah. I mean, that's not bad. Seems smooth. But yeah, I don't think there's not a massive amount of new parts sort of things in there. Part trailer. No, I don't think we have those. Yeah, so we've got that drop down. It's been a while since I played on a 2 point, so I can't remember how it used to be anymore. Some more sign tech there. Oh yeah, I remember it. It was like going through parts was like that scene in Toy Story where he's flicking through all the channels on the remote really fast. So I'm glad we don't have to deal with that anymore. When he's going through all the channels. And then they get to the channel he wants to stop at, but he's clicked past it, so he has to click furiously back again because he's missed it. There we go, some more signs. I'm trying to think, was there any funny signs? I mean, we've seen the strip club, but I think there was another strip club that Lasman did that had a funny sign. Oh, I think this was good. I think Jesus did this one. Dance Until You Die. There's a billboard for the dance studio. What was the other strip club called? Was it Downtown Business? Any new mini script commands? I don't think so. I think it's just we're still going with Wait Alive and stuff like that. There's some audio ones. But in terms of scripting, I'm not certain. I don't really tend to do a lot of scripting on the trigger volumes. Yeah, I looked at this one, but there's another one, isn't there? With there's a woman on a pole. I can't remember which one that was though. You got the mud flap girl there. Yeah, I mean the scripts could definitely there could be some more mileage out of them. Oh, she's been removed. There's the buns one as well, though, isn't there? The rural. I think that's what was that? Country town business. Oh, here she is. There we go. Big Buns has been replaced by Pink Pennies. Any changes to the min script waves and lost zombies? That is, if you use stealth and break contact with zombies in a min script, the zombies will wander off and the player cannot find them. Again, I'm not too sure about stuff with min script. I tend to not because I'm mainly working on tiers like 1 to 4. My environments aren't large enough to have to rely on the min scripts. So I don't have much experience with the scripting, volume scripting and stuff. So I'm not too sure, and I can't really answer that one, I'm afraid, Tom. This one I enjoy as well. It's a good mascot on this one. Crazy Billy, you have my guarantee. And here's an example of the double siding of the sign tech for the decals. So I assume when I break this, there will be an identical sign back facing it. Yeah. So to avoid the invisible issue, you just put 2 back to back, and then they can be seen from both sides. But if you were to do that on a window, it'd be impossible, kinda, because the glass would have to be here, and then you'd not have the ability to place it either in this voxel or the one behind it. So you wouldn't really be able to do a back-facing sign in a window. Yeah, scripting is definitely it's a useful tool. I personally don't have much of a use case for it at the minute, just because I'm not on the larger POIs or have the need for it at the minute. So that's pretty much it for the POIs. We talked about sign tech, we talked about POIs, we talked about blocks. I've kind of run out of things to talk about. If anyone's got any final questions, I might leave it there for tonight. I might do some actual gameplay tomorrow, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's been fun seeing everyone back from Guppies, from Compo Pack, from the modding community again. So I might be around to hang out, but I might just watch some of the bigger fish do their streams and see how they're getting on with it and how they're enjoying some of the POIs we've been putting out. Level Designs worked pretty hard over 3.0. We're filling gaps, we're taking feedback, we're trying to please everyone with what we put out, and I think we've put out some good stuff. So I want to see those reactions. Oh, Hernan, are you still here? Do you know what tile went in? Is it 1 or 2 tiles? We'll have a quick look at the tile just before I head out. Which tile was it, Hernan? Yeah, I'm pretty sure didn't one new tile go in or something? Is that it? 03? Might not be tagged up though. But we know these types of tiles very well, I think, in the modding community. Whenever we've made a downtown POI that's just way too big, this is the tile pretty much that we use. I know I've used this similar setup for I think I used it for RPD, I used it for the Umbrella Corp, I used it for my mall, and I think that's pretty much it that I've used it for, but a similar variation to this. But this will allow us to essentially achieve the same thing we do in modding when we make the 100 by 100 POIs for like Compo or any other modding avenue of your choice. But this will allow us to start putting those in industrial with large 100 by 100 tiles. I'm not sure anything goes here yet though. Maybe there's the stadium. This looks like 100. Yeah, so there might be some bits that will fit in there. But I think that will do it for today. I may be up for streaming tomorrow, maybe a little bit. But there's big fish out there that are gobbling up all the views right now, and I kind of want to jump into absorbing some of that feedback, seeing how they take the new POIs we put in, seeing how everyone's reacting to the sign tech, and watching some gameplay and seeing how they're taking in the world with all these new signs everywhere they look, and all these light up blocks, and yeah. Oh yeah, that's probably what the intersections are about, to bring content up that wasn't showing very much then. Cool. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I'm a bit scatterbrained and maybe I didn't explain things in the best way, but you had a look at some of the new POIs, some of my work. I tried to fumble my way through explaining the sign tech. I'm excited to see you guys get your hands on that and what you can come up with. And yeah, enjoy some of the streams out there. Hopefully, some good vibes going around, and people are enjoying the new POIs that Level Design have worked so hard on. Thanks for spending these 2 hours with me, guys. I really appreciate you coming out to see me, and it's been nice to talk to some of you again. I know it's been a while, but yeah, thank you so much, guys.